Injury concern to Dyson Heppel, though. He and Hodge going at it full on. One can only hope nothing more than just, the applause of people, Lee, that they should go at it that hard. That's the main injury. But, Lee, it is Essendon winning by 22 points.
Yeah, they had too many. They had a heap more inside 50 entries, so the Lions' defence held up pretty well. I thought it's funny where you think where was the game won. I guess the clearances were fairly equal. The contested possessions were fairly equal. So basically I thought the ends of the ground, Essendon was that little bit better. Certainly at the ground level, second effort stuff in their forward line, found 3 targets. The Harris Andrews is magnificent down there when the ball was in the air. Down the other end, I guess you had Hurley and Hooker and players like that. So the Lions didn't look like taking a contested mark in there really when the ball was congested. So certainly as the game went on, Essendon, the second half they kicked 5 goals, 8. So but the Lions really, they ended up having a fair few scoring shots, kicked 3 goals, 5 in the last quarter. So they were a chance, but like that one when Daniel McStay had the shot from 15 metres out, probably to get them to 7 points down, Richo, and he missed it. I mean, that was just a critical turnaround.
And it went straight down the other end, and Essendon kicked a goal. And that was probably the moment where Brisbane's run ended. But I guess all day, Essendon just were a little bit more cleaner when it counted. I thought Sard was really good. Some of his run from defence really opened up the play. He had 24 disposals, Adam Sard, but
he covers the ground, doesn't he? Because he had 24 disposals, but he's probably ran 15, 20 minutes with the ball before the disposal almost every time.
I'd love to know his metres gained. We haven't got the ability to have that stat here today. We normally do, but I reckon his metres gained would have been really high. And in a game that was sloppy and you had to clear it at times, I thought he was really good, Sard, with some of his run.
It was an 8-point margin in favour of Essendon. Essendon leading at every change. 8 points, 21 points, 20 points, 22 points. But as Lee pointed out, 2 chances totally spurned by Brisbane. McStay, with momentum too, it must be said, to get it to 7 points, missed a shot he should have kicked. And then I think it was Cutler who had the chance to get it back to 12 points. Again, missed shots. Easy from here to say it, Matthew, but professional footballers like that, you would expect them to get it 100 times out of 100. No angle to speak of and no more than 25 metres.
They weren't hard shots at all. There's no excuse really for that. You should be able to kick those in this league. And look, everyone misses them at times, but they were all missing them today. It was a team pressure that kept building and that is kept missing.
Lee, how did we assess the Bombers? This is a good win. Hard to win up here now.
Yeah, it was a solid win because, I didn't think they... they're good. Stringer was probably one of his better games for them. I thought he was really good. Zach Merritt got a lot of the ball. Hurley, I thought, was probably important too because, again, what Harris Andrews did for the Lions at one end, Hurley pretty much did down the other end, which meant the opposition didn't look like kicking the ball to getting a 50-50 contest to mark in their part of the ground.
Harris Andrews took 6 contested marks. Yeah. Essendon only took 3 for the day.
He was wonderful, sadly in a losing effort, 84-62, 22-point win to Essendon.
He might come under scrutiny too, Tone. Remember that incident, was it back in about the second quarter when Bagley went down and Richo thought he saw a punch in the guts?
It was one of those little love taps in the belly. Bagley did stay down for a while. Whether he put some mayo on it, I'm not sure. But if it was captured on camera, Michael Christian will definitely issue a fine. That's probably only a fine, though. Total
win for the Bombers is Devon Smith, though, Lee. They've got him down here, that run and tackle and skills. He's a very neat footballer.
He's been a great pickup, really. He's hard, too. He's hard in tight. Merritt's not a big man, so you need to get the ball out to him in a little bit of space. So Devon Smith has been the guy with a bit of bulk and size inside for the Bombers.
Myers was a good inclusion because he was running with Zorko at times and Dane Beams at different moments, so he had a bit of a role to play, but he was able to win a heap of the footy himself, so he'd be really happy with how he played today, David Myers.
Can you help us out as Essendon just gathering at the race? There will be some concern for Dyson Heppel. He's saying that he's A-OK, but that was a fantastic, brave bit of play from both players, neither flinching, Hodge and Heppel, but Heppel coming off the worst.
I'd be really surprised if anything comes from that. I think it was just a a collision that happens in the game. The ball was there to be won. Hodge actually fumbled it, and then they ran into each other. I don't think anything will come of it.
Isn't it? I think at the last second, Hodge knew the contact was coming and sort of just braced marginally, whereas Heppel, I don't think, saw the contact coming, and that's why he got the severe damage. But, I mean, really, it's a pretty simple, isn't it? If it's regarded as accidental or he had other options, he's not guilty.
There were no other options.
If it's regarded as careless, well, that's when there was a charge, and then the impact's obviously been high. But I don't know. I just looked at it a few times, Richo, and it seemed to be more accidental than careless, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think Hodge saw him at the very last split second and went to almost push off, and the collision occurred.
It was like front to front.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, if Hodge had actually just protected himself, turned his shoulder a little bit, then he's in trouble.
Yeah.
But I think it looked like just two blokes who almost run face first in front of each other.
Essendon 12-12-84 and Brisbane 8-14-62. Chance for your calls. We're here till around about 20 past, half past 4. 96 900 693 96 900 693. We'll grab a player from the winning Essendon team. We'll also give some votes. And also, if you've just tuned in, been watching on the TV, was anything clearer? The Stringer goal that was set, touched everything. So let's go to the song in the Essendon room. Good on them. And it was a tough win for sure. Conditions at total odds to what was happening in Melbourne earlier this morning, but 12-12-84 Essendon defeating the Brisbane Lions 8-14-62. We will speak to a player. Jackie Reid has done an outstanding job today doing the honours in the rooms for us, and we'll catch up with that shortly. But just some of the major numbers for Corrimal Windsor Caravans, if you'd be so kind. Lads, some of the big ball winners and just some of the vital ones that have seen Essendon win by 22 points.
We've got the numbers in front of us here at the moment. I guess the biggest possession winner on the ground was Alex Witherden. 25 kicks, 5 handballs, bringing the ball out of the back 50. So the role he played was pretty good. The Essendon small forwards weren't really terribly dangerous, so he was pretty good. And Zach Merritt was the high possession gatherer for Essendon.
You look at the stats, and Sard had 24. Redmond, who played across half-back, had 24. And Witherden, Daniel Rich and Harris Andrews. So because there weren't a lot of stoppages today, and it was, the back 50s were generally on top, some of the defenders were the high disposal winners today.
So it's 22-point win to Essendon. Game from Perth will be starting in around 40 minutes' time. Bruce Eva with the Sunday wrap. We'll be having a scores service, and earlier today, Terence Crawford stopping Jeff Horn TKO in the 9th round. Brave performance, but the gulf in class was there for all to see. Anything else appearing from the stat sheet today, boys, that sort of should give or possibly give Essendon supporters just a little bit of optimism?
Actually, field position was what Essendon dominated. I mean, the inside 50 was 65 to Essendon, only 44 to the Lions. So I guess when we were joking around in the middle of the third quarter about when the Lions kicked a goal, I mean, Essendon did have a lot of ball in their forward half.
We've loved the work of Zach Merritt today. A really gutsy, gritty performance with more than a dab of class. He's on the line speaking with Matthew Richardson. Take it away, Richo.
Zach, it was a strange old game today. Plenty of errors between the backline and backline. The game seemed to be played, but you guys, I guess you thought you probably won the territory battle with 65 inside 50s.
Yeah, absolutely, Richard. I mean, there was always a lot of mistakes from both sides, but ultimately I think we kept harping on getting the ball inside our 50 and trying to keep it in there and knowing that the scores eventually would come.
And that tackle pressure was back today. Obviously, before the Dreamtime game, you were number one in the comp. Maybe dropped a little bit last week, but I thought you brought that back today 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're trying to build as a consistent team, but obviously that takes time, and we're putting the work in during the week, and hopefully as time goes on, the more and more we do it, the more consistent it's going to be as a group.
Had some good inclusions today, I thought, Zach. I thought Brown played well up forward, kicked goals. Redmond was really good off back, and Dave Myers did a really good job through the midfield. So all of the guys you brought in today had a big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the benefit of the weeks now, and guys are coming in form and not just getting put in there. So I thought that was super today.
And what do you mean, Adam Sard, when he takes off halfback, Zach, we were saying you're never quite sure whether he's going to keep running with it, whether he's going to sort of feed it off. It makes it difficult for the players forward of the ball, but it does bounce out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's hard to be predictable, but we also encourage him to take him on as well. So he's a highlight reel for fans and his teammates as well.
Hey, Zach, just how testing were the conditions today?
No, not more than they should be. I think we were just a man down early, and that probably got us in the back end. But I think both teams are reasonably fit and just looking forward to the bye as well, though.
And speaking of the man down, what was the feeling among the players about the collision between Hodge and Heppel?
Yeah, it was just, I think, a clean hit from two guys going hard at the footy. So I don't think it was anything serious or anything to worry about for Hodgie, but I think it was just two guys going hard at the footy.
Is he all right now, Dice? He looked to be okay after the game, chatting to all the boys.
Yeah. Sorry, boys, I can't hear.
Dyson, is he okay? Is he feeling all right now?
Yeah, I spoke to him briefly, and he knows what he is, and he's happy about the win, so he's all good.
Your collective midfield, I thought, particularly in the first half, the 46 tackles, so just the indication of the pressure you were putting on the Lions, which forced them to turn the ball over.
Yeah, absolutely. Players towards the ball and lead receivers, but I thought we covered off reasonably well, and although they got a few times, kicked some easy goals, they were pretty consistent in numbering off today.
We'll let you go. Just how does the next couple of days run for the team?
Yeah, we'll fly back tonight. Some boys will go off to different places and see their families and relax and come back fresh and ready to go for the last half of the year.
Hey, and before you leave us, everyone saw what you're capable of doing last year. Last couple of weeks, though, have you sort of redesigned your game because you seem to be as effective as what you were, and way more effective than, say, earlier in the season when you were getting a hard tag? You're still getting plenty of attention, but have you changed anything in your game at all?
It's not much. I mean, it's just a continual improvement from week to week, and as cliche as it seems, I'm just trying to get better every day. And sometimes the ball doesn't fall my way, and sometimes it does. Ultimately, I just want to be a consistent team that performs well for our members and fans out there.
Good stuff, Zach. Thank you very much for joining us on 3AW Football. That sort of play today, Lee, it was, you're expecting the beautiful flourish on the outside, going inside when he needs to, but there was some great pressure acts from him that were terrific.
Well, I think that was the thing, particularly early. I thought the pressure that Essendon were putting on the Lions was really overwhelming them a little bit. And then it evened up a little bit in the second half, but by that stage the scoreboard had already, was already 4 goals pretty much Essendon's way, and they virtually maintained that in the second half, even though the Lions snipped away and got a bit closer. So if there was something I think to be most pleased about for Essendon is, the pressure, the defensive pressure, and tackling is always the first indicator of that. It was something that made sure that the Lions couldn't really string their disposals together.
Mason Redmond, you spoke about him, Matthew being inclusive. I thought there was a nice bit of dash and surety with ball handling. I think it's only about game 4.
Yeah, I think it was his 4th game today, but he was good off half-back. As we said, it was a game played between the half-back lines at times, and a lot of possessions for many half-backs on the ground, but I thought in the first half he was one of the best players on the ground. Some really good run off half-back and used the ball quite well. Good inclusion. I don't know much about him. It was good to see him today live for the first time, and he looks a player to me.
20-year-old from South Australia. Played 3 games in 2016, but this is his first game since then.
Yeah, and he's hungry, obviously. If he didn't play all last year and half a year this year, he looks to want to maintain that spot in the second half of the season.
Once again, and it'll be tomorrow as part of the full discussion in pre-game, and that is the score reviews when there was a quick call to say it was touched. Umpire wasn't certain. Then we had a look at the footage, and no one seemed to know. Jeff joins us on the line. Hey, Jeff, have a chat with Lee Matthews.
G'day there, Lee.
Hi, Jeff.
Look, I'm really intrigued when you said, we don't know who's up there, we don't know what they have, and all the rest of it. And I'm sort of thinking, why can't that be made public knowledge, or at least be prior to the match? Keep it open and transparent.
Oh, it's a bit like, well, to be honest, you might be able to find out. I don't know the answer to that question. It's a bit like saying we know the names of the goal umpires and the boundary umpires and the field umpires, but we don't know who the video reviewer is. And I don't know whether we need to know for that matter, but you just hope they're well enough trained up, don't you, to actually make the correct decision and not interfere unless it is so certain that it's 100% wrong.
So that what we're talking about is it was called touched off the boot on the ground. It was then taken upstairs to be reviewed, and my understanding is for the decision on the ground to be overturned, it has to be categoric evidence.
Yeah.
Now, from what we saw, Lee, it wasn't. We all think that. but it was overturned. So I don't know if they see vision we don't. And if they do, that should be made available to everyone.
Hey, Jeff, are you still there?
Guys?
Yeah. What did you make of it on your TV? What did it tell you? Because we're looking at a screen which is a bit distant to us here, but did it look as though it was touched?
Oh, look, again, I sort of went with you and sort of said it's very hard to disprove it's been touched. It just seems... And again, wouldn't it be lovely if you could simply get the AFL to come out and just do a little short doco of some sort that shows the view from that review office?
You're assuming they have got better vision. Now, we only assume that because on the vision that we saw, we said, well, you couldn't overturn the umpire.
You couldn't.
But maybe they've got a clearer vision. And it's logical to think that in the... I went looking for the video review area at the MCG last week, just going... I thought, I want to find out what screens they're looking at. I couldn't find it, to be honest. I don't know where it is. It wasn't up in the control centre, just near the media area.
Maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe there is no bunker man.
Maybe it's a myth.
I reckon there's a common thread through the work, and it applies certainly in cricket that I watch a lot of, that there is a tendency on the part of the people making these judgments to overturn.
To want to intervene.
Yeah.
But on the cricket, though, what I like about their review system that we don't see is you can hear the umpire talking. Now, give me a look at...
They've got a lot better at it, and
there's
they're serious umpires. They're members of the international panel who are doing it.
So you can actually see the whole process taking place in the cricket.
It has improved in cricket.
Yeah, I just thought the instantaneous call when it was touched, that they've clearly seen it, and I must admit you could mount an argument for it being a goal, but everyone seemed to think, maybe Beams did get a hand on it. Just on Dane Beams Day, we know... Again, he is a star that is held to a higher account, but this is as quite I reckon I've ever seen him in his career. It's on the basis, seemingly, that he was fully fit. What was the afternoon?
It was 7 kicks, 7 handballs. But he didn't find a lot of the ball. That was true. So he wasn't able to impact the game, and for whatever. I thought maybe Mize is going to him, Richo, but you kind of didn't see that, did you? I mean, sometimes
you know why?
We see in the after-games coaches, so-and-so was responsible for another play. You thought, well, I didn't see that.
You know why I reckon you couldn't tell at times today? Because it wasn't a lot of stoppages, and that's normally when they reset and pick up their men, and it was sort of pinging around everywhere, and it was hard to know who was on who today. 96900 693, the open line for Nick Theodosi, Prestige Cars, the wonderful showroom in North Melbourne, across the road from Arden Street. If you have any further clarity on the overturned goal review decision, would love to hear it. Any thoughts on Essendon? Are they a chance now? Have they just shown something today that thinks, well, if they're going to make the 8, it's certainly going to be in the lower reaches after their 22-point win over Brisbane this afternoon? Well, they're 5-7 now. You need 12, and their percentage isn't great, so they may need 13. So they haven't got much margin for error.
7 or 8 of 10 is a big ask.
It's a big ask.
Big ask.
Yeah.
We will dissect Brisbane in a little greater details, get Lee and Matthew Richardson to do that. And around about 25 after 4, we will head down to Bruce Eva, who will be doing the Sunday wrap tonight, and then it will be Dr. Sell with Talking Health. From 6 o'clock tonight, there will be a comprehensive scores service from the Adelaide Fremantle game, which is around about half an hour from commencing. But here at the Gabba, it was Essendon leading at every change by 8 points quarter time, 21 points half time, 20 points three-quarter time, and 22 points in a game that was sort of error-riddled, but in its own curious way, it was somehow attractive. 12-12-84 to 8-14-62. Right across Australia, all thanks to McDonald's. You are listening to 3AW Football.
This is the 2018 Toyota AFL Premiership season. This quarter brought to you by Collins House. For independent financial advice, go to collinshouse.com.
Enjoy this week's fresh specials at Woolworths, like Aussie-grown Imperial mandarins, now just $3.40 a kilo. They're easy to peel and deliciously juicy.
That's why I pick Woolies.
50 months interest-free. No deposit, no interest with 50 equal monthly payments until July 2022. Harvey Norman massive half-yearly clearance. Furniture, bedding and flooring, home appliances, televisions and technology. Minimum financed amount $750. Approved applicants only. Interest applies if you do not comply with terms and conditions. Fees and exclusions apply. See website for details. 50 months interest-free, store-wide. No deposit, no interest with 50 equal monthly payments until July 2022. Harvey Norman massive half-yearly clearance on now.
VicRoads is activating new technology to manage our busiest freeways as one smart network, so you can get to where you need to be on time. Variable speed signs, ramp signals and underground sensors are all part of a system to help VicRoads manage traffic conditions and give you real-time travel information. Over the next few months, you'll see more technology on the Monash, Tulla, M80 and Calder freeways. Find out more at vicroads.vic.gov.au.
Excuse me, how do we get to the lighthouse?
Let's see. You want to take a left at Incredible, and then a right at Breathtaking, and then you keep going till you get to Wow. It'll be
just another day in WA. Whether it's the 2-hour drive from Perth to the Pinnacles or a coastal cruise to Margaret River and beyond, Western Australia is made for driving holidays. Explore WA, the road trip state. Hit the road today at westernaustralia.com.
The National Celtic Festival is on from now till Monday. Cruise to picturesque Port Arlington with Port Phillip ferries and enjoy live music, dance, theatre, workshops, food markets and so much more. Tickets from nationalcelticfestival.com or at the gate.
Don't forget to grab your copy of the Sunday Herald Sun this weekend. Body and Soul features a meal plan that has the potential to reduce your risk of cancer. Inside Escape, we take a look at what's hot for your next US holiday. In Stella Mag, Kerry-Ann Kennelly reveals why the show must go on, and we sit down with Grant Denier's family. Plus, cheer on the green and gold with a bonus double-sided Socceroos supporter banner. All this only in the Sunday Herald Sun this weekend.
I read the news today, oh boy.
Everybody wants into the MS Dream Home Lottery and tickets are selling fast. The grand prize is the choice between a stunning $2.6 million Matsey Home and Land package or $2.6 million in gold. Plus, you have an incredible 1 in 15 chance to win from the huge prize pool. Be quick, buy your tickets at msdreamhomelottery.com.au.
Multiple Sclerosis Limited, permit number 10029/18.
Ladybird, Ladybird, what have you seen?
I followed the ladybird sign to Garden World, and here's where the gardening experts are, which is so what I need. Water features, cacti, bonsai, hydroponics and thousands of plants. It's all staffed by gardening gurus and rose experts. Planting season's on, all the great products are here, and the advice is free. My rose garden's going to knock your socks off. Now, time to visit the cafe. Garden World, Springvale Road, Braeside, gardenworld.com.au.
D brings it down to Guelphy, who breaks a tackle and kicks a magnificent goal. It's the winner for the Bombers.
And that it was after a few near misses from Brisbane, which really could have tightened the game up. It was Guelphy's goal. It was an interesting goal from Brown before that as he ran away from goal. The big man, more known as a defender, running along the deck, and it went through for a goal where really good chances. Cutler and McStay couldn't convert, and as a result, it was Essendon, the better on the day, but not much in it. 12-12-84 to Brisbane, 8-14-62. You can give us a call on 96900 693 or 13-13-32. We're on air until around 25 after 4, and then Bruce Eva taking over with the Sunday wrap. But I've got just waiting to see whether Jackie's going to put her headphones on, and she can just wait for a moment as we've got Branko working overtime there, and we will get an injury report from Morris Blackburn lawyers championing the rights of everyday Australians. So we've spoken about Essendon and still a flukish chance, or maybe a bit more than just a flukish chance, to make the finals this year. And we'll discuss Brisbane because there'll be a lot of Brisbane supporters back at home ready to talk about, again, another close performance. You know, they ran Sydney close up here going back 3 weeks ago. They got Hawthorn. They've been competitive enough.
Collingwood as well up here.
Yeah, that's right.
Was a close one.
No 4 points there. So, Jackie, great to work with you for the first time, Jackie. Thank you very much for the excellent stuff over there. Other than tired, dehydrated bodies, the main one is Dyson Hempel. What is the club telling you?
The latest word out of the club is that he did concede he was a little bit groggy when he came off the field. He then tried to insist that he was fine, as most concussed players do. He was pretty adamant that he'd be okay to go back on, but the club wasn't happy with the vision. They went through the vision. Bruce Reid was sort of reenacting it to the other doctor, saying that it was a forearm that sort of hit him on the bottom of the jaw, lifted up, hit him in the nose, created all the bleeding in his mouth and through his nose. So they weren't happy.
Sorry, they thought
that it was a forearm contact.
Well, that's sort of that. Just from watching Bruce Reid reenacting it, he was saying no, not going to do it. The moment of impact is there. So they weren't happy with the video review. I did notice the Lions had a little video review late in the quarter. Hugh McLuggage in that. What we thought was a dangerous tackle, but he got a free kick, I think, for someone dropping the ball. They weren't happy with that. They had a look through the vision and went out to him twice, and he kept waving them off. I'm fine. So then they went through the vision and sort of took his word for it, I guess.
And so Essendon and also Brisbane, so whatever has been sort of done here, and there's nothing too significant. We did have a look at Alex Witherden, and there was some concern as his sort of leg, knee, bent back a little bit, but he came out and played through the game. Anything else to report from either camp?
No, well, late in the game, Devon Smith, I noticed he was managed for most of that match. He didn't come on until probably the 7-minute mark of each quarter. He was having problems with his right lower leg. Late in the game there, he came off with about a minute to go and they iced that up. So the doctors sort of congratulated him for getting through the game, but obviously he carried something into the game as well. And then we also had Josh Green come off. He was hobbling. He waved to the crowd, his old fans, on the way off. Pretty happy to, that'll do me. 3 minutes to go. I'm probably going to wrap this up, but he had a lot of work done on his hamstrings in the last quarter, and we know that he was coming back from a hamstring.
Not sure that the love was quite reciprocated from the crowd.
Hey, Jackie, just looking out here now, there's a lot of people still here having a kick on the Gabba. It's great to see. Did get an official word on the crowd yet today? It was a pretty good one.
It was a good crowd. Yeah. Actually, I noticed there were a lot of Essendon fans as well.
Yeah,
they were all clapping for Heppel when he came out of the half-time break and sort of gave them a thumbs up, I'm okay, and everyone was on their feet giving him a round of applause. But I was pretty impressed with the amount of Essendon fans that showed up today, although they were nervous at the start of the game, I'll tell you that.
Hey, Jackie, now you've been up here for, you've been worked for the AFL, you've been up here for a couple of seasons now.
Yeah.
We looked from afar, we know Lee lives up here, but any concern at all about Gold Coast? Have they split an audience here, or is the long-term future there? Does that sort of fall within your sort of interest?
Yeah, I think you'll notice with Brisbane fans that come and watch the games, when they come to the Lions games, they really are full of hope and they're just cheering them on. They're probably the best 1-11 team in history because they have challenged everyone.
They've been playing well.
They've played really well and they've given their fans some hope. And you did notice in that third quarter, they started to get really involved and behind the Lions. Come on, you can do this. But then I went to the Suns game last week and they were leaving at halftime. The fan experience, in my opinion, is far better at the Gabba. The service is better here. At Metricon Stadium, people were being told to sit down. So little kids at the boundary. It wasn't a packed game, but get back to your seats. Boundary riders they sit us about 30 or 40 seats from a boundary. It's just hard work at Metricon sometimes. But I think with the Lions fans, they've got genuine hope and they can see where they're going. Harris Andrews is a terrific player. Yeah. He looks a little bit like Dustin Fletcher, so I get a little bit jealous because I'm an Essendon fan, hoping that we can find a new Fletcher, maybe his son in the next couple of years. But Harris Andrews out there, his leadership out there was terrific. You could see him. No, that's a spoil. That's, you've got to do that. He's very good at that.
They definitely would be coming and seeing progress.
Absolutely, that's all you ask for,
yeah.
Especially if you're down the bottom of the ladder for this long. They like Chris Fagan and how calm he is, and he's just, let's just get this going, let's just get some momentum, and they're never discouraged.
Yeah.
Just confirm that, because this is extraordinary what you've just said. As an employee covering the game, as you have been for 3AW, you're telling me that the staff at the Gold Coast will not allow you, every other ground, everyone sits as close to the interchange benches so you can get an idea who's coming. And you were told you're not to sit there.
Yeah, we actually moved along. The seats weren't taken, but they reserved 2 seats for boundary riders and they're in the crowd, not even together. So they're a few rows back from the boundary and you cannot see the bench. It makes life very difficult.
Hey, I'll get Dipper onto this.
Dipper needs to sort it out.
As president of the Boundary Riders Association, I'm giving Dipper a call.
Yeah, I think a couple of other stations have complained, but apparently that's been the go for a few years now.
All right, Jackie, thank you for your great work. We'll see you no doubt and hear you, depending on which team's coming up to Brisbane or the Gold Coast. In fact, are you heading down to the game next Saturday? Is it between the Gold Coast Suns and St Kilda?
We'll have to have a chat to management about my movements for next week.
All of a sudden, that has become a rather interesting game. Thank you very much, Jackie Reid.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's been outstanding work.
Thank you.
Jackie doing all the injury work for Morris Blackburn Lawyers, championing the rights of everyday Australians. Lee, just a couple of things just on that. We're seeing some genuine hope of Brisbane. There are players coming through. Gold Coast seems to be going the other way. They've had the most unbelievably awful season so far, the 10 weeks of just being the football nomads. But, you know, you see the big picture game up here in southeast Queensland. What, and everyone's talking about, what are your thoughts? What's happening that the game doesn't seem to be? Have we split an audience here?
Oh, well, that part of it. I mean, the Lions, I think, felt that they lost 10 or 15% of their supporter base when the Gold Coast Suns come in. Maybe 10%, maybe 15%, but that kind of number might have been coming up from the from the coast when there was only the Lions. So
Sure.
that was that part of it. But I guess it's at the moment, it just happens to be that both sides are stuck down the bottom four, aren't they? And the Suns looked like they were close to finals a few years ago when Memu Ablett was going great. Then he hurt his shoulder, then they fell away that year. But at the moment, they're and we saw the official crowd today was 20,400. Well, a decade ago it would have been low 30s. But so basically, just at the moment, it's plug away. Both clubs might have good people in place to build it, but at the moment, your playing stocks tend to be decided on your experienced talent, Richard. How much experienced talent have you got? And both sides are really short in those two words.
Well, when we were having a coffee time before we came to the Gabba this morning, we were up here pretty early. We went through their first draft. And they should be that experienced talent now. They should be the players that have played 120 games by now for the Gold Coast Suns. The number one pick was David Swallow. He's still there. Harley Bennell is over at Freo now and obviously having difficulties with injury. Day was their third pick. That 1, 2, 3. Day is still there but had injury concerns and not a real consistent senior player. Their 7th and 9th pick, they were their next picks, Josh Caddy and Dion Prestia, who now played in the premiership at Richmond. Gorringe was at 10. He's at Carlton. Tom Lynch was 11. Now, is he going to stay? We don't know. So there's 7 picks. And next year, the only 2 that may be there are Swallow and Day. And that should be the nucleus of their team now. So it's almost like they've had to go through another rebuild since then and maybe even another third one coming up.
Well, they're starting fairly much from scratch. If you say, OK, where are we right now?
You
can say, well, we're somewhere near scratch. I mean, they started the year really well, but one of the things I think it was going to be really tough for them when they were travelling for the first 10 weeks. And their first few weeks were really good. They won a couple of games. They were going
competitive.
They were going OK, but then they've started to drop off. And then their last few weeks, and the last 2 particular, they've really dropped off badly. So what that means is the new coach's honeymoon period has sort of blown a little bit because all of a sudden that honeymoon early on there was a great spirit and a great energy that they were producing, but halfway through the season after that heavy travel schedule they've dropped off completely.
And that you do have to sort of hold that to account a little bit, don't you? How could any team get through that? That was extraordinary what you've asked them to do.
And I think it's the aftermath. It's not so much even at the time is one thing, but how's it going to affect you as you're going into your season? It knocks your confidence. I mean, they were really good for the first month of that travel, and then the second month they started to just drop off a little bit. And then even though last week was their first game at home, but that was their worst game probably for the year. Yeah. And then their second game, they're on the road, but they were terrible last night against the Giants.
Just a quick dissection of what you saw for Brisbane. We've spoken about how the ins for Essendon has worked today, and we've really enjoyed the work of Mason Redman. From the Brisbane point of view, from some of the lesser-known players, or just the overall performance, feel free, Lee. What did you make of Brisbane's losing effort today, 22 points?
Well, let's talk about it. Darcy Gardner, Harris Andrews we've spoken about a few times. He's been really strong in the aerial contest. Darcy Gardner's been pretty good back there too. I mean, they've been handling the aerial stuff pretty well. So they only kicked 12 goals, Essendon, and it wasn't so much big, strong grabs, except Stringer got clear a couple of times. But Withenden was good back there, got a lot of the ball, and he's a kicker of the ball. He was pretty good. It's like they need all their players playing somewhere near their level. Zorko was reasonable, but not as good as he can be. And as we mentioned a couple of times, Dane Beans can be a really good player who was pretty ordinary by his own standards. So they got a bit out of their defenders in a way. But the ball was down there a lot, so that's probably why they got a lot of kicks their defenders. But their forwards today I thought were poor. Certainly Hooker and Hurley completely overwhelmed Hipwood and McInerney and McStay, who were the taller marking forwards. So, I mean, from today of the lesser lights, I would have thought Withenden and Gardner probably apart. And I don't look at as Andrews as that now. He's proven to be be a good player.
Look forward to giving you votes in a moment's time for Rain and Horn. And just on Rain and Horn, not only residential, commercial, business sales, one of the biggies in Victoria, but if you'd like to be in the running to win $500 weekly, you've got to vote each week for who you think will be chosen as the best player of the round. If you're chosen, there's $500, but you do stay in the draw for a $5,000 prize, biggest going for listeners in footy radio, courtesy of Rain and Horn, at the end of the season. So all the more, get in your tips in, get them in on a weekly basis. Your tip for who will be voted the best of field, and then it'll be Dwayne Russell on a Friday night, on the Friday Night Footy, saying you have won $500 if you're the chosen person. We're just about to wrap it up here at the Gabba, but before we do and get the votes, I want to go down to Melbourne. Bruce Eva joins us now. Bruce, and your other great love of sport was in action today.
Good afternoon, Tony. Good afternoon, team. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, Jeff Horn dethroned comprehensively by Terence Crawford at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. It was somewhere between a clinic and a masterclass. We're hoping to check in with Barry Michael in Las Vegas during the Sunday wrap, but it just highlighted and underlined and finished with an exclamation mark why Terence Crawford, if he's not the best fighter pound for pound in the world at the moment, he's certainly in the best three. And it's interesting now as to what will be the future for Jeff Horn, because if he goes up to light middleweight, there is a couple of very, very tasty American fighters waiting for him at that weight division, just a tick under 70 kilos. So plenty to discuss. We're happy to take calls on those that have watched the fight this afternoon, 96900 693.
And there will be that big fight that would await. I imagine that Crawford will try and get more titles in this weight range. And is it Thurman and Spence Jr., the two big bangers in that division?
Yeah, Thurman's the main one. A fight between Crawford and Keith Thurman would be hopefully a huge fight for the second half of 2018. The biggest fight we want to see in 2018, though, of course, is Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua at the heavyweight limit to decide the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And the segue from that is that while Jeff Horn was fighting in Las Vegas today, Tyson Fury returned to the ring in Manchester, his first fight in 2.5 years. The former, practically undisputed heavyweight champion. He was the guy, the big Brit who defeated Vladimir Klitschko in late 2015. So plenty to talk about in the fight game, as well as football and tennis, of course, where we had the women's singles final last night. I think I did a U-turn. I went to bed last night with Sloane Stephens leading by a set and a break, and woke up this morning and Simona Halep has finally got the gorilla off her back.
Hey, Beav, just before we let you go, so did he win, Tyson Fury?
He did. Yeah. He did. He stopped a bloke called, a guy I've never even heard of, in fact, so a bloke called Sefa Safari. Who quit on his stool at the end of the fourth round. Richo, are you thinking of lacing up the gloves, Richo, to have a late dash at it?
No, I'm a lover, not a fighter, Beef. You know. Hey,
what about that thought of someone wants to get Dustin Martin in the ring? If Dusty's got any brains, he'll say no to that one.
Look, it's a good point, Lee, because it's actually Jeff Horn's promoter, Dean Lonergan, who's based in New Zealand, a former NRL player in Australia, in fact, Juco Events. And I think there is a suggestion that, because I believe, and I must admit I haven't heard too much on this in the last couple of months, is Shane Mumford about to make his professional boxing debut? Yeah,
he's fighting Gallen, isn't he? Is he fighting Paul Gallen?
Is he fighting Gallen straight up, or is that the fight they hope to match? But either way, look, a promoter's dream, isn't it, to get the Brownlow medalist into the ring?
Beaver, he's got other duties to perform.
I would say so. Stick to your knitting, as they say, Richard.
Beef will be discussing, and by the way, too, you will take both press conferences today from John Worsfold, the winning coach, and Chris Fagan, the losing coach, between now at 4:30 and 6 o'clock. And what else do you have on your agenda?
Well, I was just going to give you a heartfelt thanks, gentlemen, that we got through 3 or 4 minutes there, and the word St Kilda wasn't mentioned once. So I think we might take a few calls on the Saints, though, between 4:30 and 6 o'clock. But boxing, a little bit of cricket as well. Word's just come through that David Warner is going to be part of the commentary team for the ODI series, which gets underway next week in England between the old enemy, Australia and England. World Cup starts next week with Australia defeating Hungary overnight in our final warm-up 2-1, and Daniel Arzani, who I think is going to be the second youngest player at the World Cup, scored in the 74th minute. So plenty of sport, and of course we'll touch on the build-up as it continues to tomorrow's a genuine blockbuster. We know, Lee, it is a word that is used too often, but tomorrow it is a genuine blockbuster, Melbourne and Collingwood from the cricket ground.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Bruce Cruisever. From 4:30, it is the Sunday wrap up until 6 o'clock, which leaves our final duty, and that is the best players. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for Rain and Horn, residential, commercial, business sales from Gisborne in the north down to Rosebud and Rye, way down in the south, and all bits in between, Rain and Horn. Lee, any pardons or to mention?
I mean, there's a lot of good players. I'm not sure whether today, when we get to the sort of lesser votes, there's a lot of players that could have been in there. But I decided, I gave one vote to Mason Redman. I haven't seen much of him. Maybe he just impressed me first glance. But I just loved the way he's used the ball under pressure. Thought he was really good, so I gave him one vote. I gave 2 to Zach Merritt. I thought he was the best midfielder on the ground. But I thought the next one, I guess, is a midfielder, Stephen Martin. I thought his contest, I thought he was really good. And obviously, you know it's a contest going on because Bell Chambers is his direct opponent. And I thought in that matchup, Martin was outstanding. So I gave him 3. And then I really went to the extremities of the field. I went the Essendon first, a stringer in their forward line. He was really good. So I gave him 4 votes, kicked 3 goals, but he looked really dangerous down there when none of their other marking forwards looked like getting the ball in the air. And the reason is the guy I gave 5 to, Harris Andrews, he was just outstanding. Whenever the ball was hanging in the defensive 50, and it was a lot for the Lions, he marked it well. I reckon he spoiled a bit more too often when he probably could have grabbed it a couple of hands another 4 or 5 times. But nevertheless, that aside, I thought he was outstanding back there. So I gave him 5. So 1 to Redmond, 2 to Merritt, 4 to Stringer. 2 to Merritt, 3 to Martin, 4 to Stringer, 5 to Andrews.
Great to work with you on this Sunday. Lee, we will catch up with you in Melbourne next week for Carlton and Fremantle. Final score here, Essendon 12-12-84, defeating Brisbane 8-14-62.